Well, good morning, everybody. This is Mark Ittleman, speech language pathologist, and good morning. Good morning to the teaching of talking. The teaching of talking is an approach to helping people with aphasia speak again. It's an approach that's very, very different from most of the other approaches out there, and most of you know that for sure. And so this morning, what we're going to do is we're going to review some of the key concepts of how caregivers and care partners, hey Helen, are learning how to help people with aphasia. And you know something else? We have a number of people on the call too who have aphasia or who have apraxia, and they've been telling me, look, Mark, we don't have a caregiver. Yeah, we don't have a caregiver. So is there anything you can do to help us? And man, there sure is. There surely is. You know, one of the blessings of being able to practice speech-language pathology for over 45 years is the fact that I've had a chance for 45 years. That means like every workday and even on weekends, seeing people one-on-one. Now I'm not a university type. I don't spend my time in the ivory tower. I spend my time in the therapy room. And I spend my time training care partners. Hey, Joe. Hey, Malka. By the way, Malka's my wife, and she's on the call. And so I better behave myself, all right? So I've spent over 45 years helping people talk and dedicated to only that. Now, there are therapists who do cognitive therapy and all these other kinds of therapies, but I've pretty much focused my attention on speaking, on talking. Many, many years ago, I had a little boy by the name of Scott, and his mother called me from Winter Robins, Georgia. And Scott had a profound hearing loss. And she said to me, Mark, she said, all the therapists here, they want to send Scott to the deaf school and teach him sign language, and we don't want that. And I said, well, if I had a kid who was deaf or profoundly hard of hearing, I wouldn't want that either. So she said, we're moving near Lakeland, Florida. Would you work with our son, Scott, and help him with his speaking? And I said, of course I will. And I then realized, way back then, even at the start of my practice, hey, Faye, hey, Gayla, that I'm truly an oralist. And you might say, an oralist? Yes, an oralist is someone who believes that the first thing you do as a therapist, the first thing you do as a caregiver, is you do your very, very best to try to find a way to get a person, whether they're with aphasia, whether they're deaf and hard of hearing, the first thing you do is you do your very best to find a way to help each person talk. And talk clearly and talk as distinctly as you possibly can. And many of you have read and seen stories about Helen Keller and how Helen Keller, at the age of 2, 3, 4 years of age, became a student of a very famous teacher by the name of Annie Sullivan. Hey, Raymond, good to see you, buddy. And so what happened was that Annie Sullivan came in to the Helen Keller home, and she moved in there. She moved in there. And many of you, I'm doing a review today, many of you have heard the story of what I said about some people approaching me and say, Mark, if money was no object, what would you devise to help our loved ones talk again? And I said, it's plain and simple, I'd move in with you. But, so that's the concept. And that's the concept that I'm getting through, hopefully, to therapists and caregivers and care partners across America, across Canada, across Australia, across the UK, the same concept, because we've been in the dark ages about speech therapy in the United States and all over the world. Many people believe that a patient goes into a room with a therapist and the door closes and the lightning comes down and the clouds come down and the person is supposed to walk out all better. And it doesn't happen that way. And the other problem with the way speech therapy has been practiced is that a person will go into a room with a therapist and the care partner will be left outside, not involved, not welcomed, not instructed, not asked to be a partner in the process of better speaking. And at the very beginning, I learned that that is what is necessary. Now, many of you met Joe last night. And when I was working with Joe, his brother-in-law would bring him. And his brother-in-law, his butt would be in the chair with Joe and myself. And I would stimulate Joe to talk, and then I'd have the brother-in-law do it. And then Joe would do it, and then I would do it, and then the brother-in-law would do it. And then it was called a round robin. Hey, Julie, good to see you. And I hope that as this class is going on that you'll share this. Please share this with others. Please share this with pages where there are people with aphasia, people who have been in the dark ages. Therapists, even some therapists have been in the dark ages. But that's changing. That's changing now because many of you know that I believe from the very, very, very bottom of my heart that the only way for a person who's got a severe to profound speaking difficulty to get better is to have someone available as much as possible to be stimulating speech and language at home or wherever they may be. So that's what I want to make sure that everybody realizes. You must, I believe, have a care partner who knows exactly what to do. Now, many of you saw this great thing on, I think it was on Facebook. And I wrote an article about it. It was about a guy who brings his wife to the beauty parlor. And it shows the article in Facebook, and it shows a video of a hairdresser teaching the husband how to do his wife's hair. And the article goes on to say that he always wants his wife to look beautiful every day, so he wanted to learn the skills of what to do to help his wife look terrific. And yes, Nolan was your brother-in-law. Okay, so here's a guy in this video who's cutting his wife's hair and styling it. And when I saw that, I realized that that's exactly what I do with care partners. That's exactly what I do with therapists that I teach them what I know, what has taken me, over 45 years to learn and to develop and to pass those skills on so that people with aphasia don't have to be sitting in a corner when the family comes, or those people with aphasia don't have to be at the end of the table not saying a word during the whole family meal. That's unheard of, and we don't want that. So that's why I'm as passionate as I am about this. Now, again, this is a review today, and what we're also going to do, we'll do a couple other kind of surprises, and I've got a lot of surprises for you next week. And here's the other thing that you need to know, okay? That is that you remember, and most of you I see are on the call, and you've been with us during many of these calls, and we know that what an aphasia is. An aphasia is a diminished ability to use language, whether it be to understand language or to express language. And I taught you about anomia. Anomia is when you are in a conversation or when you attempt to speak and the word disappears. So that's when aphasia really is. They go to speak, they have a stroke, they wake up one day, they go to talk, nothing comes out. As in Joe's case, all he could say was ba, ba, ba. That's all he could do. Well, we worked with Joe for over a year, and at the end of that time, he did a wonderful speech before over 100 speech pathologists in Texas at the Texas Speech and Hearing Association, and he talked about his therapy. He had an apraxia. That's where the sounds just don't come out all that clearly. Some do, some don't. Now, he had a mild to moderate apraxia, but those with a severe apraxia, man, they have difficulty saying almost any sound. So just know that an apraxia is not about the words, isn't about how to put the words together to say a sentence or a phrase. The apraxia is all about the motor inside the mouth. Remember last night I told everybody, open up your mouth and go like that. And that's where the motor is. The motor of speaking. And that's the motor that enables you to formulate the sounds that go in words. The motor formulates the sound that goes into words. And without the sounds being accurate, the words don't come out very clearly. So you have to have two things going. You have to be able to make sure that if it's a motor speech difficulty, that you address the motor speech. And we are teaching people how to do that. And also at the same time to help them speak the words as in aphasia, when the words disappear. How to improve recall, how to improve getting those words back, how to improve getting those phrases back, how to improve getting those sentences back. And it's no easy task. It's not easy. Don't expect that it's going to be easy, because it's not, and it takes a while. Now, many of you said, yeah, but Mark, you said that it was easy. Well, yeah, it is easy. Because it's within a conversation. That's the therapy. We don't do workbooks. We don't do flashcards. We don't do iPads. Not saying not saying anything negative about them. But I don't believe in that, because conversation is king. And I'll tell you why that is. And that is, when we get down with another person, hi Jennifer, hi Cindy, when we get down with another person, we want to talk about things that are relevant. You know what I mean? And we want to talk about things that are relevant. And we want to have fun in the conversation. Most of us, when we talk with a family member or a friend, we want to be able to have fun in the conversation. We want to talk about cool stuff. We want to talk about where we've been, what we've done, what we're going to do. We want to tell a funny story. But let me share with you the fact that in aphasia therapy, we can start having a conversation at the one-word level. Now, most people think that that a conversation is about phrases and sentences. Well, yeah, it is for those who can speak in phrases and sentences. But after a stroke and aphasia, not everybody can speak in phrases and sentences. So what we do in our therapy is we find how many words a person can say or imitate. And then what we do is then we start stimulating a conversation with very slow speed, like you saw last night. And if you haven't seen that video from last night, you really, really need to see it, because there was a really good demonstration of a caregiver who can stimulate speech and language as good as any therapist I've ever seen. And she learned the teaching of talking method. She first read the book, then she got the videos, and then she called me and she said, I want to work with you. And so it's a progression. You see it working, and you'll see how it'll work for you, and then you'll want more, and then you want more, and then you want more, and then what happens is that your loved one starts talking more and more and more, and your house isn't silent anymore. Your house and your interaction with your loved one is occurring. And it's occurring all through the day. And you couldn't believe that just by talking in a certain way, in the teaching of talking way, that you can talk all through the day about all kinds of things, and it isn't sitting down with worksheets. It's not sitting down with an iPad, because that's not what talking is about. You know that. I know that. Talking is about sharing with another person, talking with another person, taking an interest in another person, in who they are, what they're interested in, what they love to do, what turns them on, and what they fear. We talk about it all. I remember I had one gentleman, and we all have relationships with our spouses. And we all want to love our spouses, and we all want to make love with our spouses. And this particular gentleman wanted to make love with his wife. And every time he did, his wife would refuse him. So he came into therapy one day, and he was really upset. he was really upset. And so we started a conversation. I needed to find out what he was upset about, because I could obviously tell that he was very distraught about something. And this is what talking is about. It's about finding what's going on with another human being. And he was very distraught about this. So I was able to stimulate him for him to tell me exactly what he was upset about. And then when his wife came in, about the last half hour of the visit, we had a conversation around that, and she said that she was really afraid that he might have another stroke or he might have a heart attack. And so we both advised her to speak to his doctor about that, speak to his cardiologist, speak to his internist, because this was obviously something that was very, very, very important to him. And those are the things that we talk about in speech and language stimulation. We talk about anything that the person loves or is concerned about, and we can do it in 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, 4 words, or 5 words, and we can stimulate that. And many of you saw what the wonderful people were able to do last evening, John and Joan. There's no silence in their house anymore. They're always interacting with each other. Is the speech perfect? No. Is it completely clear and articulate? No. But Joan talks with him, and he can create his own sentences now, and she mirrors with him. She says the phrase or the sentence at the same time he does, and she's showing him in very slow time where everything goes, where his tongue goes. It's just like looking in the mirror and talking to yourself. That's what mirroring is. And John and Joan do that all the time. And that has improved the clarity of his speech by hundreds of percentage points. So the ability to speak after a stroke depends on the severity of the aphasia. It depends on the severity of an apraxia, if there is an apraxia. And I think it was in yesterday's lesson or the day before that, I gave you all a link. And that link goes to a little screening test that I've invited you to give your loved one so that you can begin to learn about speaking. Now, what's important? What are the two of the major fundamentals of what you need to know in order to help your loved one talk? Number 1 is they have to be able to follow directions, and they have to be able to imitate, even if it's a vowel. If they can imitate a vowel, great. And in this handout that I put, I think it was in today's Friday, I think it was in Wednesday's class, I put a link to a screening test where you can find out how well your loved one follows directions, although you probably already know that better than anybody, and how well they articulate. Hi, Elena. Hi, Donna. And make sure that you do that. And then I taught you about taking a language sample. And a language sample is taking a notebook, writing down everything you possibly can, everything you hear that person say. Date it and jot down exactly what that person says, because that's going to give you an indication of where their speech and language is. So keep a little notebook at the house. Hi, Teresa. Oh, Bernadine is here. Hey, Bernadine. And make sure you have that little notebook and write down everything you hear the person who has aphasia say. And I've reviewed with you that that there are some people that don't say anything. So you really can't put anything down there. But whatever they try to say, put it down. And that way you have a document. You have a document of what there is to do. Now, next week we're going to talk about different therapy methods. We're going to talk about music therapy. We're going to talk about oral motor exercises. We're going to talk about all kinds of different, we're going to talk about chanting. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. So you want to tune in. So, conversation is how we work with people. We don't sit anybody down. We don't do worksheets. We don't do iPads. We don't do flashcards. We converse. And that's what keeps people awake. I think I told some of you a couple stories about going to see some patients, and as soon as I'd walk into the room, they'd kind of go like this. And they just didn't want the workbooks. They didn't want the handout sheets. They didn't want the flashcards. Until one day I told you the story about Leo, who I mentioned something about we were building a house, and there was a question about the thickness of the plywood in the roof. And man, that woke him up. And after that, our speech therapy was all around building a house. And I could modify his speech. I could modify the speed of what he was saying because he wanted to talk. He wanted to talk. He was the authority. Now that's another key component. When you speak with someone who is aphasia, who has a love for something, or was a professional or a carpenter or an electrician, that's something that they know more about than anybody in the world. So one of the first things I always do is I start asking them questions about carpentry. I start asking them about roofing nails. I start asking them about fixtures. I start asking them about cement. I start asking them about all kinds of questions, and then they want to talk. But if I take out a worksheet or flashcards, that's not talking. Oh, they might say words, but they're not talking. Talking is having something to say. Talking is about sharing something with another person. And that's where I think the teaching of talking goes way beyond what's currently being done. And more therapists are learning this method, and they're getting people into conversation, and they're finding that when you get a person into conversation, they want to talk. They don't want to do worksheets. And often, these darn worksheets are too hard, are too difficult. And I told you the story, too, about a gentleman with aphasia who committed suicide because the therapist wouldn't allow his wife into the therapy room and would give him stuff to do, worksheets, and told his wife that he had to do them himself and she was not to help him in any way. And she told me, like I shared with you before, that she'd sit outside the therapy room and she would hear him crying. That's not what we want. We want lively conversations about how to play Texas Hold'em poker, or talking to a foodie who loves to tell you about the things that he and his wife cook and make and like to eat at home. That's when you get a person who wants to talk. And when you get a person who wants to talk, it's a heck of a lot easier to get them talking. If they can imitate. If they can repeat a vowel, a syllable, a word, or a combination of words. And you know something? What's also great is when you find a therapist who uses conversation, a friendship develops. Why? Because there's a confidence, there's a confidant. You have a confidant, you have a friend. And you know how we all are. We have our friends. And you know how we have our friends, we can talk about anything with our friends. That's the type of therapy that I believe is the best kind of therapy for talking. Conversation builds friendships. Conversation builds rapport. Conversation enables one to learn. So you know something? I've learned a ton of things in my career from the patients that I see because I always pick their brain. If whatever they're interested in or whatever they're capable of doing, that's what we talk about. And man, I can right now I'm working with an artist. And I've really developed art appreciation. I've learned about Matisse. I've learned about Steichen, a photographer. I've learned about Georgia O'Keeffe. I've learned about Frida in Mexico City. I've learned about so many artists because those are the things we talk about. We don't sit down with a pencil. And here's the other thing. If you're going to have a therapist and you want to talk. You don't want to sit down with a pencil and paper and write and match and all that other kind of stuff or do what they call confrontational naming things. You want to talk with them. You'll get a lot more speech and you'll make a lot faster progress. Okay. Here's the other thing, and I'm reviewing for the first half hour, and then I'm going to take your comments, and then if you have anything you want to share with me, you will share with me, and we'll have a good time. So I'm keeping my eye on the time, and I'm going to invite everybody in. There's one more thing I want to talk about now, if I can remember it, because here's the thing. You create an amnesia if you're speaking about one thing and then you get interrupted. If you get interrupted, then sometimes you can lose your track. Okay? So, yeah. Just remember that with aphasia, it's in a way like helping a baby talk. You have to start back at the beginning again. You have to start initiating single words first. And then as you start getting that, then you go to 2 words and 3 words. It's a very gradual process. But you know, a lot of therapists, they want to start here. They don't want to start at the basic level where speaking starts. And that's at the basic imitation level of vowels, consonants and vowels, single words, single syllables. And then building from there. First you say mama, or first you say baba, and then you say baba drink, or mama go. And it's the same thing that you do with people who have lost their ability to speak, in many cases. Okay, so the other thing also, what's great about conversational type of therapy is, you know, when a person has a stroke, often their listening isn't so good in the beginning. Their comprehension isn't so good in the beginning. And so you might ask them a question, and they might answer something, you know, really off the wall, and then you realize, I don't know if they really understood what I just asked them. And so what happens is that with aphasia, that in the beginning, often, their auditory comprehension or their listening or their ability to follow a direction is diminished. sometimes to a severe degree, sometimes to a moderate degree, sometimes to a less degree. But, when you converse with them and you ask them questions and you stimulate speech, you ask a question, 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 you stimulate speech, guess what? The listening starts to improve. And then if there's some sounds from the apraxia that aren't coming out so well, you emphasize those sounds. And so you say, oh, you want to go to the treat. And you over-articulate the words the person has problems with. And guess what? After a while, they start listening to the sounds of speech. And when they listen to the sounds of speech, they want to say it that way, and then their speaking improves. Their apraxia improves because they're listening, because your whole interaction. And caregivers, I hope you can learn this stuff so that you can do it at home, or you therapists, so that you can do it in the clinic. It's all about questions, answers, questions, answers, questions, answers. You got to listen. And the listening improves as you do that. But it won't improve quite often if there's not much interaction. And interaction is conversation. So that's the beauty of it. That's the real beauty. Okay. So I'm going to call on some of you now. I have one person who wants to come on the call. John, it's good to see you. And Daisy Hernandez, it's good to see you. And make sure, please, that you share this recording, that you share either now or after you get off the call when we're done. Make sure you share it. Because what's happening is that there's a wave, and people are learning that traditional speech therapy, for many people with a severe to profound aphasia, for many of them, it just doesn't work the way that we were taught in school. And today, they're starting to improve on the training of what therapists are learning. But it's not about a lot of cognitive exercises, because you can do cognitive therapy while you're talking. Okay, so I'm going to invite somebody on the call. Let's see who we have. Let's see who it is. Guest requests. So I see a whole bunch of people here. Donna, Alejandro, Helen Maxwell. Let's try to get Helen Maxwell on. Let's see. Surprise you. Make sure your phones are in horizontal. Some of you have phones that have your cameras on. I'm in horizontal. You should be in horizontal. We'll wait about 15, 20 seconds or so, and we'll see if Helen can come on the call. We've invited her on the call a couple of times, and it seems like quite often when we have the connection hasn't been that good. So you want to remember that the connection needs to be good. You have to have good internet, and I don't want to keep everybody waiting too long, but I want to see if Helen can come on the call, because I'm sure there's a reason for you to be here, and possibly there's something I can share with you that will help you. So I'm going to wait about 10 or 15 more seconds, and she disappeared. No answer from the live video guest. Okay, so who would like to come on the call? I'm going to ask that first. I'm going to ask who would like to share. And there should be a green button down in one of the corners of your phone. and John Murphy is here, and Marcia Johnson. Alejandro wants to be in the video. Let's see Alejandro. Okay, let's see where he is. Alejandro. Oh, there he is. Okay, let's give him a shot. Alejandro. So I'm going to approve. And let's see if we can get Alejandro on here. It's so great meeting everybody. It's so great sharing with you. And it's so great to see the joy that people are getting from these classes. I've gotten emails already from people who are already starting to read the book, who are ordering the videotapes, who want to sign up for a small group sessions. We're already starting to get those requests, and it's so good because people want to talk. And here's
Hi,
Alejandro. Hello,
how are
Alejandro.
you?
I'm
Fine,
good.
fine.
Good. Where are you from?
Uh, um, Holland.
Holland. Are you in
Holland.
Holland now?
Yes, yes.
Oh, isn't this amazing?
Yeah, yeah.
So, is there anything you'd like to speak to me about this morning or to share with the audience?
Well, I don't know what to do. Not to do. I not uh, speaking not good.
Okay. Do you have do you live by yourself or do you live with someone?
Uh, Miriam, my wife.
Good. Does she know anything about what to do to help you with your speech?
Yes, yes, yes. But the nurse, she nurse, uh, my wife working.
Oh, she's working.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, so you're home alone.
yeah, yeah. Sure, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to get out. You've got to find somebody to talk with.
Yeah, yes, yes, yes.
We're gonna have to ship somebody to Holland to come talk with you.
Yes, I know the Hollander, the people is Holland, not the speaking not good.
Okay, hey, you're doing a
Yeah.
good job. You're doing a good job. And here's something. I just want to tell you that I've never seen anybody braver than you. Somebody who can come on to Facebook Live and talk to me. That's an amazing
Yes.
feat.
Thank you. Thank you.
What is your how many languages do you speak?
Uh, English and Spanish and Holland.
Wow. 3 languages.
Yeah, but uh, not the Holland so.
So Holland was so before you had your stroke. It was so.
Sorry, sorry.
Did you have a stroke?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and before your stroke, could you speak the language of Holland fluently, or did you have a hard time with it?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah. Sorry.
You had a hard time with it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, and out of all 3 of the languages, which language now do you speak? Which one is best?
The English is best.
Oh,
The English
okay.
best because the um, this the people is the English the no fluently English,
Okay.
but Spanish not well, not 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 not
Not.
not.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying then, if you're saying then that English is the best for you now.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Good. And you know, you have lots of potential. You have what we call a mild to moderate, kind of a mild to moderate expressive aphasia.
Oh,
But you do all right. You get your point across, don't you? Most
yeah,
of the
well,
time.
sorry. Oh,
Do you get your point across? I mean, do people understand what you're trying to tell them?
mm, no, no,
They don't.
no, no.
Okay. So you need some work.
Yes, yes, yes. Uh,
Okay.
but mm,
But
but the not speaking English.
oh. So there are a lot of people around there, but they don't speak English.
No.
And you speak English the best out of the three languages
Yes.
now.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you just need to come over here to the States and we'll take care of you.
Okay, yes.
And your wife needs to learn how to does your wife speak English fluently?
Yeah. It's English.
Okay.
The the my wife is uh, Holland, but English.
Okay, so she can speak English.
Yeah.
Okay, good. You know, I'm looking at you and I'm seeing you, and I've worked with thousands of patients with aphasia, and you would have a very, very good prognosis for considerable improvement if there was somebody around there
Yeah,
who
yeah,
was
yeah,
available to help you.
yeah.
So will you stay in touch with me and be in the classes and
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
let me know if you have any concerns or anything that you want to talk about or whatever. We'll always invite you into the call and we'll share, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Wow, this has just been unbelievable.
Thank you.
Unbelievable. And we'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Okay.
Bye
Well,
bye.
that was great, Alejandro. It was
Bye.
great. Great. Lovely, lovely people, lovely human beings who have difficulty speaking. And there are ways to help almost each and every person speak better. And unfortunately, sometimes there's a limit on the therapy or a limit to available therapists. And that's why we're just trying to share as much information as we can with people who have difficulty speaking. Hi, Diana. Gosh, it's great to see you. I've seen Diana sharing our videos and saying such wonderful things about what we're doing. Thank you very much, Diana. And so now I'm going to invite somebody else onto the call. Is there anyone who would like to speak with me? One of the things about Alejandro that I really liked was that he took his time about speaking. He wasn't in any hurry. And you didn't see him tripping over words. And that's what frequently happens with someone with a difficulty speaking like Alejandro. He spoke slowly, and he kind of parsed his words out. It was refreshing to see that. Exciting to see that. I love to see people who have aphasia who are recovering the ability to talk. And that's what I've committed my life to, helping people with aphasia talk. My wife sometimes gets mad at me because I'm always thinking about aphasia and ways to helping people. So let's see who else is on the call. Who would like to come on? So hurry up and let me know, because time's a wasting. I'll speak with any of you, because when I speak with you, I learn from you and you learn from me, and it's just a wonderful experience. So who else would like to speak? Because if you don't, then I might just invite you. I may just surprise you and put, Marcia Johnson wants to be in your video. Let's take a look at Marcia. There she is, and we're inviting Marcia onto the call. Isn't this fun? Isn't this fun, meeting other people with aphasia and seeing what we can do to kind of help them out? Isn't that wonderful? And I get Mark, thank you very much. I love to do this. You know, some people play golf, some people go deer hunting, some people ski. This happens to be something that's fun for me, and people kind of think I'm crazy, and I probably am, but I love doing this because it gives me a great feeling of satisfaction to see people who are learning the skills that I've spent a lifetime developing, and I'm sharing those during this 30 days, and I share it in the book, The Teaching of Talking. Let's see, where is it? Here it is. This is what Malka let me do. She said, I'll let you write your book and I'll do everything around the house. But wait a minute. What happened to Marcia? Let's try her again. Let's see if we can get Marcia on one more time. And if we can't, then we'll pick somebody else. And so Malka said, if you want to write your book, write your book. But after you write it and it gets published,
Yes.
Who do we have here?
It's John.
Hi, John.
Yes.
How you doing today?
Yes.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. And where are you from?
Arkansas.
Arkansas. Are you all getting any rain over there?
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So we need to turn down the speaker in the background a little bit. Okay. So Marcia, are you there?
I am.
And John, how are you coming along with your how's John coming along with his talking?
He is okay.
Okay.
His favorite word, okay.
Okay. Do you have a method that you're using with him yet?
Hit or miss, yes.
Okay, hit or miss. Oh, I love that. I love it when somebody says hit or miss. Because it's usually miss.
Hey, that's true.
So, John, who is your wife?
Marcia.
Yes. And how many years have you been married?
5.
How many?
5.
Okay, so Marcia, what you do now is you ask him a question. You say,
Yep.
Have we been married? How many years is it, Marcia?
25.
Okay, so this is what I want you to do. You say to John, 25 years? Like a question like that. Go ahead.
25 years?
Yeah, okay.
How many years?
How many years? 25?
25.
All right. 25 years to the same woman?
Yes.
Can you tell me the same woman?
She,
The
uh, in woman.
The same woman. Oh my goodness. And do you have any children?
One.
One. And do you have one son or one daughter?
Whoa. Woman. Daughter.
All right. She's a woman and she's your daughter. How old
Yeah.
is she?
She 13.
How old?
13.
13.
Yes.
Oh, that's a dangerous age.
Yes.
And where is she right now?
Where is she?
Dual.
Good. Can you tell me at school?
To
She's at.
at dual.
Good. Very good. So Marcia, he's at about a 2-word level right now.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what you want to stimulate. And you can put the answer at the end of each question. So is she a good girl, your daughter?
Yeah.
Can you tell me good girl?
Good girl.
Yeah, very good. So that's a little bit of an example of stimulating speech. And we could talk about your daughter for the next hour.
Yes.
We can talk about Marcia for the next hour. And we don't need any flashcards, and we don't need any workbooks, and we don't need any iPads for that. Okay?
Yeah.
So John, this has been great speaking with you. Marcia, wonderful speaking with you. And thank you for being on the call, and thank you for learning and starting to learn about the teaching of talking. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Okay. Wasn't that great? You see? We could have talked about his daughter for half hour, 45 minutes. And I would have just started asking questions. Is she a good student? In 2 words, is she a good student? Does she have good behavior? Does she listen? Does she have a boyfriend? I mean, we could just go on and on and on and stimulate his talking. And, that's what he'd like to talk about, I'm sure. And there's 100 million other things that I'm sure about John. But man, once you find those things that a person is interested in, or that's meaningful for a person, man, you can stimulate speech and language hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and never have to worry about therapy notebooks, iPads, all that other stuff, because you can't talk to an iPad. You can't, not really. You can't talk to a workbook or handout sheets. You can't do that. Okay, we're going to take one more person. And I know, let's see, who's this? Let me see if she'll talk to me. We did Marcia already. And let's see who this person is. Let me see who that is real quick. Let me see. I'm go. You know, I wanna. I wanna Bernadine. I want to invite Bernadine on the call. I like Bernadine. I liked her from the first minute she texted me and let me know that she wanted to be on the in the class, and she wanted to know how to do exactly what needed to be done. Remember to share this, please, everybody. Remember to share this with the people you know or the people you love. It says the guest declined it. Okay, that's all right. We'll try one more. And let's see Raymond. I think Raymond's here. Let's kind of say hi to Raymond. Oh, somebody else. Let's see. Let's see. We're going to just bring Raymond on for a minute or two. He's been making some great progress with his talking. And what a fine human being he is, an engineer. And he's taken the suggestions that we've been giving him and he's been applying them. And it's just unbelievable the change that's occurring with his talking. And that's what we love to see. So we're going to wait about another 15 minutes. Oh, there's the man. How are you?
I'm fine.
How's the weather there?
Sunny, clear.
Perfect. Oh, I love that. And I'm not hearing those like I did before.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So what's on tap for today? Do you have anything special you're going to do today?
No, I no classes.
I see. Perfect. That's perfect. Now, see, a person can talk very well in 2 or 3 words, or 4 words, or 5 words, or whatever amount of words there are. And you're doing really well, Raymond. So, what's the weather like? You said no classes. Why aren't there classes today?
Any wasn't scheduled.
Oh, they weren't scheduled today.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. You know, I had a little talk with your mom the other day.
Yeah. Let let me let me know.
She let you know. Good. Okay, well, you're coming along beautifully. And you're riding your own ride. And that means you're going at your speed. Always remember that. Stay at your speed. Always at your speed. The speed that you can handle. The speed where your words come out smoothly.
Okay.
And you'll be able to build from 2, 3 words to 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay? But you're just starting out with short phrases now, but you can learn how to expand to longer phrases. And you'll be able to do that as long as you have somebody to talk with who can learn.
Yes.
Okay? So,
Okay.
it's great seeing you. And I'll be looking for you in the future calls. I hope you're learning.
Yes, I think so.
Good. Okay. Bye-bye now, Raymond.
Bye.
Okay, so this is Mark Edelman. I'd like to thank you for being on the call today. I thank you for your questions, your comments, and it's been a great call. Please, if you like this lesson today, please like it, please share it, please make sure you're our friends on both Moshe, Mark Edelman, and Teaching of Talking. And if you're interested in the independent study course in the teaching of talking, or the one-on-one and small group classes that I'll be having next month, you can find that. You can find out about that on the home page of teachingoftalking.com. So it's been wonderful. And I look forward to seeing you. Next week, we're going to talk about caregivers. We're going to talk about how to find out what a person with aphasia is thinking about, or if they want to say, if they get stuck. One of the first questions that almost every caregiver asks is, how do I figure out how to figure out what the person with aphasia is trying to tell me? So that's going to be one of the visits next week. We're going to talk about music therapy. We're going to talk about the different other kinds of therapies. We're going to talk about mood, emotions. We're going to talk about motivation. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. And so make sure you're with us. I'm going to be putting a syllabus. I'll be sending you, if you're not on our mailing list, please do so. There's a link on in just about every post that I put on Facebook. There's a link where you can fill in your name and email address, and I'll be sending you the curriculum for next week, what we're going to be covering. And please share with the people that you know and the people you care about who may also have speaking difficulties. So on that, I'm going to bid you adieu. I'm going to say goodbye. I'm going to say thank you for coming, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.